evening, welcome to DuPage Angler. This is a solo cast. We are using a new software called Spreaker, and this is my first test, so I figured I would just shoot alone and see what happens. You know, everybody knows I fish a lot, and we had a show on carp, and it was pretty interesting. And we mentioned the grass carp, I think, shortly, and I had mentioned how bad I wanted to land one. Well, that was about a year and a half ago, and things have changed immensely. The grass carp is my nemesis. It is the one fish that I cannot get on a regular basis, that eludes me, that makes me look stupid. So, not long after our podcast on carp, most guys know about regular carp. A grass carp is twice as big. There's very few of them. They only eat weeds. Places stock them in low numbers for weed control. And they don't eat regular baits. They can sometimes be caught on bread, boilies, corn, but it's not on a regular basis. So after rain, I was walking over by a pond, near my house, and I saw a tail come up, and I saw it was grass carp. So I ran back home, and I grabbed a rod, some bread, threw some bread out, and sure enough, it came up and nailed it. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So I put some bread on my rod, and I can't believe it hit. So it hits, and it starts screaming. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. So I had an 8.5 foot noodle rod with a Shimano reel on it. It has a pretty smooth drag on it. It was a brand new reel that I used. I bought them both for drift fishing rivers. So it's screaming. So I fight this thing for at least 10 minutes, and I realize I don't have a net. I don't have a camera. So I'm holding my rod in one hand, holding my phone underneath my chin, and I'm dialing my wife as fast as I can, over and over again. Come on, please answer, please answer. She answers, I'm like, you gotta get my net and get the camera, you gotta get over here really fast. So she comes over, and I landed it, and it was a big, beautiful fish, probably 30, 40 pounds. So that got my fire lit. Now I know I can do it. So I started researching some of the European stuff. I got involved with Big Carp Tackle. They sent me some free stuff to test out, and I started making some of my own boilies. And me and JC Crappies from DuPageAngler.com, we were sitting out there on a lake, and every night we could see a couple of them that come to the surface. So we kept trying and trying and trying. I finally get one, and we're fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. I've had this old net. It's just a regular net that most guys got in the mid 80s. I had forever, hardly ever used it, just for cats with my dad. So we started bringing this thing in. It starts coming in. I go ahead. This thing pushes the tail and literally swims through the net. I got all this on video on my YouTube channel if you want to see it. Swims through the net. I was furious, man. I just could not believe it. So I go out and get a new net, and winter came. So over the winter, I learned to use what the Europeans call a hair rig, and really all it is you put a hole through the bait, you thread this little leader or line or hair line through it, and the hook is not attached to the bait. This way the carp sucks it in, swims, and then automatically hooks itself on with the hook. So I started using hair rigs, and I just started fishing a few days ago. The bass starting to turn off, get ready to spawn. And we've had some rain. It's spring. We've had some rain, so I started chumming some area with some corn and some boilies. And I kept going back and going back. I started getting some really nice common carp, which is your everyday carp, which most everybody knows about. So I started getting some really nice ones. And one caught me by surprise, and it was grass carp. I'm like, holy crap. So I bought that one for, 5 minutes. And it was measured out at 41 inches. By I think like 20 something, so it was like 30 pounds. So I'm like, yes, I'm even, and that one fit fine in my brand new net. Bent in there just barely. My net was about 2.5 feet wide, 3.5 feet deep. It fit in there. I was really happy, So I got a picture. I'm like, yeah, grass carp, I rock. So I go. So a couple days later, so what I would do is I only had like an hour or two to fish each day. It was during the work week, so I would throw some chum out before work, throw some chum out when I was done fishing, and my wife was nice enough to let me go after dinner for like an hour or so. But I was doing this every night. A couple nights later, I have a hair rig on the bottom, and I made I make these pineapple boilies that work awesome. And I have a bell on it, bell goes, I set the hook, and all of a sudden it's just dead weight. I'm like, whoa, what? This is really big. And all of a sudden it comes up and it's just kaboom! boom, this big splash. These two guys I don't even know drop their rods and come running. They're like, what the heck is that? I'm like, it's a grass carp, it's a grass carp. So my line's screaming. These guys, it's pandemonium. And we get it up, we get it up close, and we can see it, and it rolls over, it looks like it's tired. We're like, yeah! Without exaggeration, this fish was 5 to 6 feet long. And again, I have the clip on my latest carp video on my YouTube channel. 5 to 6 feet long. So we get it tired out, lays on its side, and we said, alright, it's time. So, one guy gets the net in the water, I steer it, I get its head. Now, the other one, the 41-inch fish, was able to bend into that whole net. This one, we could only fit half the fish in the net, and the tail was sticking out another 2 or 3 feet. So I'm like, you get the net, I'll grab the tail. So he goes to lift, and by the sheer weight of this monster, breaks right through my brand new net, my brand new Fravril net. So it hits the ground. We try to, hold it with the net. We had it still hooked for a second, but now there's no give because it's all wrapped in the net. It breaks, gone. Just broke my heart and wanted to cry. So, so this thing was, 5 or 6 feet long. I'm guessing, trying not to exaggerate as a fisherman, I'm guessing it was like 60 pounds. And it was absolutely amazing. So now it's lit a fire underneath me about carp. So now I'm, starting trying to dial in my baits. I'm trying to dial in my rigs. I'm using float rigs and hair rigs and different size hooks. And, for you guys that don't carp fish and you're like, it's carp. Well, they're here to stay. The days of killing carp are over. They are big money fish in Europe. They have some competitions here in the U.S. They're strong, they're big, and they're plentiful. They're very smart. They got keen eyesight. You can catch them just using regular bread, cans of corn to get started. You can mix dough baits with garlic and sugar and vanilla and Wheaties, and they can be caught. And I don't think you should pass them up. And the thing about being in the suburbs of Chicago is there's retention ponds everywhere. And guess what? They all have carp. And guess what? They're not fished. I went to a small pond last night. I had a little IEP meeting for my little guy, and right after there's a pond right there. And it was cold, and it just rained, but it was freezing, so I didn't think anything was going to happen. I had like 4 pieces of bread and a rod. I didn't have much. I didn't think anything was really going to happen, so I threw out some bread. Stand there for like 10 minutes. All of a sudden, one head pops up, 2 head pops up. All of a sudden, there's 10 of them. So I got a school. So within a half hour, I caught 4 and missed 3. 2 were complete whips. I just completely missed. And the one I had hooked and I lost. And I would hook one, and it would spread the school out. And then he'd slowly come back, and I'd hook another one. Same thing over and over again. I probably could have kept fishing them all night, and that can be you. And I think you guys should try carp fishing. And come on to DuPageAngler.com, and guys can answer your questions. Watch my YouTube videos on just do Pond Boy fishing carp search. I'm also owner of DuPage guide service, so you can hire me as a guide if you'd like. But get out there and do some carp fishing. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Have a great night, everyone. This is Pond Boy for DuPage Angler. Take care.